question. 2 months ago, I talked to Mr. Hagan, and I really, it got to bother me that I attended the public hearing on the Utilities Commission, and sitting there listening to people concerned about their utility rates and how they're set and how we come up with it, and I have yet to attend a meeting. I have yet to vote on anything to do with the public utilities. The public utilities is made up of 3 elected officials, and they are the Board of Selectmen, and 2 appointees who are appointed by the Board of Selectmen. So there are 5 members. And I asked Mr. Hagan for a ruling on the fact that the meetings are held at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and if you work for a living, you're unable to commit, at least myself, to being here at 4 o'clock. I said that I could make a 5:30 meeting at the earliest. I would rush up from Wilton and be here by 5:30. I work till 5 o'clock. I was waiting for some type of ruling. I know that the charter is not specific about public utilities, but it does state in there that the Board of Selectmen meeting must be held on an agreement of all members of that commission, not a majority, but all the members agreed to meet, and we agreed at the beginning of the thing at 7:30. And really, we're the 3 elected officials on the public utilities, other than the 2 appointees. And I find it, a disservice to, I think, my constituents. I live out in Stony Hill. I mean, I listen to these people. They come by the house. They ask me about, what's going on with you, with the sewers and this and that. And I say, hey, I got to admit to you, I have yet to attend a meeting, and I've yet to vote on any motion that's been brought up or any rate setting or anything else. And I'd like to see the meeting changed to 5:30. So I don't know, I haven't heard from Bill.
The Board of Selectmen do not set the meeting dates with the Public Utility Commission. The Public Utility Commission sets the meeting dates.
We're the 3 elected officials.
The Public Utility Commission is separate and distinct from town government.
But we are the elected officials, and we are the 3 elected officials sitting right here that are on the public utilities.
If he asked you for a ruling 2 months ago, what did you tell him?
I haven't got a ruling.
I didn't give you a ruling. We discussed the inconvenience that you experience with a 4 o'clock meeting. Each commission does file with the town clerk its schedule of meetings annually for the upcoming year. It would be an act of the Public Utilities Commission to determine a change in the time and the dates that it meets. I mean, that's the mechanics by which the process operates. If that's the answer you're looking for,
I asked you to look at the charter.
If in the election in November you and Mr. Olson had won, how would you then attend the Public Utility Commission?
Maybe it would have been at 5:30.
Another part of the Public Utility Commission is the fact you have paid employees that are attending the meeting.
Right, but they're not the elected officials who are responsible for that commission. They are there at the discretion of the commission to give us information. We are the elected officials. We were elected by the taxpayers. I mean, the taxpayers must find it very difficult to try to attend a meeting at 4 o'clock when most people are working. And I felt, if it wasn't the fact that we had this sewer project going on, and I sitting there at a public utility, the public utility meeting there, the public hearing, and hearing all these issues about rates and how much we should be charged, I can't afford it, and I'm saying to myself, I cannot represent the taxpayers that elected me to this position. And I felt as though, and I told you before, I thought 4 o'clock was like not a good time for people to attend. So that's how I feel. I mean, if you're going to overrule it and just say, hey, forget it, you can't, it's your tough luck. Well, I just think that's not democracy.
As I indicated, it is accomplished by action of the Public Utilities Commission. So
Smile at the camera.
I'm looking at Mr. Hagan.
that matter should be brought before the Public Utilities Commission for action in light of your difficulties in attending at 4 as opposed to 5:30. That would be the proper procedural vehicle to make that change.
This board doesn't have control of the
And the charter states, and that's why he asked Bill for a ruling, because it doesn't say in the charter how the meetings are established per se, but they are very clear when it comes to the Board of Selectmen, that it has to be agreed upon time of all members of the Board of Selectmen. And we are the 3 elected members of that same commission. And it seems to me is that there should be some agreement here of an agreed upon time of all 3 of us.
Mr. Hagan's going to be a role. We had that discussion. Any more discussion we brought before us tonight?
That's all I have.
Motion for adjournment in order.
Second.
Third. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll move the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. At this point, I will call the Public Utility Commission meeting to order and ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you for attending, both public and non-public. Non-public soon to want to be public. At this point, if somebody has something they would like to talk about, it is time for public input. So this is your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to us.
Oh, thank you. My name is Barry Connolly. I live at 43 Quaker Ridge Road, Bethel, with my wife, Mila. We've been here about 38 years. I just got a question about sewer connections. We recently looked into having our house connected to the sewer and had a couple of people come and give us estimates. We have the kind of a lawn that slopes down from the street to our house, and then it slopes in the backyard, and we have sort of an extra acre in the backyard. There's 2 of us now. We've never had a problem with the septic system. In fact, every time we have it pumped out, they tell us it looks brand new. But we did call and ask for estimates. It seems like it's going to be very complicated to connect us to the line from the folks who come out. It's either a question of digging up the garage and the concrete, or some gerrymandered pipes going all through the crawl space in the basement and turning 3 or 4 times before it goes out to the street. So I'm just not confident, besides the price, whether they can really do it. The 2 of them have said, don't think we'll have a problem, looks like it'll be okay. So I'm reluctant to be the first one to try this. They haven't done any installations like that. So I thought I would come down with my wife and just ask, what is the timetable for this? Is it possible, like the Hutchinson letter said in 2005, to get a deferral for a long period of time?
Basically what will happen, what the procedure is, you don't necessarily have to hook up right away. If you had a septic failure, you have to hook up because the Department of Health would make you. At this point, there has been no time period set up as to when you hook up. You would have to pay for the assessment in front of your house.
Sure.
But as far as the hookup was concerned, nothing's been done with that at this point.
It's not
So
against
in
it.
theory, you don't have to hook up.
Okay. That may be better until we have more experience with the people installing, because I just would hate to change what we have. It works fine.
I'll tell you-
Something that just doesn't flow right going on.
I'll tell you what I can do for you, too. Mr. Morowski and I will come out. He's got a degree. I've got busted up hands. So his degree in my hands mean that we can figure out a way to do what you need to do, probably. And we may be able to have some suggestions for you. That I'm a guy that doesn't like to spend my money, so I won't spend yours. So I'd be happy to come out and take a look.
That'd be great.
They still, for the next about 5 months, are still paying me, so I can come out, you know. And you're the people that are paying me, so I'm happy to work for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
You want us to go to your office and schedule something?
We'll just kind of, we won't be able to get out this week, but by next week we'll be able to get out, and you'll find one of my cards either in your mailbox or your front door to let you know that I was there.
Okay.
And then I'll get a hold of you,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Sure. Thanks
All right.
very much.
It's, I'll prove that I do my job. Thanks for coming.
But it's possible that at some time they might say everyone has to.
Absolutely. But at this point, I don't believe even statutes would force somebody to do it. I don't think it's possible.
Once sewer is available, there will be a horizon beyond which
Well, usually
people
there
do
is,
require-
yeah.
but it's measured in years, so
Yeah.
it's not an immediate obligation.
No. Matter of fact, if they had listened to me about 1974, 75, you wouldn't have sewer out there. But your lot would be a good 2-acre lot. You might have a cow, but you wouldn't have sewer. Now they're trying to pass a law to prevent cows from belching or something now, so that's another whole something to do with emissions. Anybody else at this point? I'm going to move right along then. This is like a variety show. Correspondence. I don't think we have anything that isn't already here. Whole business, proposed sewer regulations. I think we need to notice the public hearing.
We do. We still have to, Bill and I are going to get together after this meeting today to go over the exact timing. I didn't want to have it set up where people had said they couldn't be here. I didn't want to have it arranged at the wrong time, so we're going to, Bill and I get together, make sure we meet all the statutory requirements for posting it, and we'll let you know. But it'll be advertised, we'll get it to the newspaper this week. It'll be in July.
Anybody have any questions? Hearing none. Water main extension, Grassy Plain Street. At our last meeting, I told you that I, within the week, would complete and get everybody's approval and signature. I am very proud to say that we have everybody's approval and signature. All letters are in. And we're ready to go forward.
We have been in touch with, through Lenny, HRP. They're going to do the design for the water main extension. And as far as Lenny is concerned, the project will include connecting the existing main on Grassy Plain Street to the main at the end of Sim Park Road at no cost to the town.
Or the users down there.
And yes,
There's a time thing on the users, right? Is there a time
Yeah,
limit?
they'll have,
no cost
there's
for
no cost for the line. There's no cost for their connections. And there's no cost for the first 10 years.
10 years, okay. If they're all happy with that, then
I personally went down and sat and explained, I spent the day doing it. Again, I earned my money. Got a way of doing it. So that should be very shortly done, built our specs to their paycheck. Financial reports.
one thing to
Water and sewer.
One thing to note about the sewer is if you look at the treatment cost of the city of Danbury, we have not yet resolved what we actually owe Danbury. We're in the middle of doing that, and we've made some progress, but there's a $700,000 unexpended there. That will, some of that is going to be paid fairly soon. We do owe Danbury for the last fiscal year.
Also, as we go forward and do that, we're going to send them a payment equivalent to what we sent them last year, and then we're going to continue to negotiate with them. A comment for future is it nitrogen that we're the biggest? What do we...
Yes. And I can share this with the commission. Just this afternoon, it was too late to put on the agenda, but the chairman of the WPCA in Brookfield wrote and indicated that he's been talking about joining the discussions with Danbury and the state about the nitrogen credit program, because Danbury apparently pays one of the largest chunks of that nitrogen credit program in the state. And, I think Bethel, being one of the largest contributors to Danbury, should be involved in whatever decisions are being made with respect to nitrogen removal. And I told Mr. Malowitz that on behalf of the PUC, we would be interested in joining those discussions to make sure that we're bringing down the cost of the nitrogen credits that Danbury's paying.
Which means if they want our money, we have to get our vote. If we all concur to that, I'm just taking a little bit of a straw poll. I don't see why we have to be part of $1 million that we're giving the state of Connecticut every year. If we can do something to limit the amount of nitrates
Is there some reality to the fact that Danbury pays more than you're saying the other water plants in the state? Is it because they...
What it sounds like is an inefficiency on Danbury's part, which we don't have control over, but we do have, I believe, the question. And I intend to question.
Well, yeah, and according to this, according to Mr. Malowitz, about $5 million was collected by the state in fiscal year ending June of '08. And coming up for this year, nitrogen, or Danbury anticipates a bill of about $1 million. So that's about 20% of the entire state.
The whole state?
Yeah, that's...
Why?
That's a very large chunk.
There was a fable or fairy tale or whatever you want to say about a little boy and an emperor, and the emperor had no clothes on. Everybody talked about how beautiful his clothes looked. I'm a little naive. I think he's run around nude again, so I want to go over and talk to him about it. What do you think? Do it?
Well, we got to figure out why. I don't know how many. I don't know how many plants there are in the state. There's 169 towns. I don't know how many towns there are per.
I would venture to say there's probably 100 sewer districts.
Yeah.
Just a guess. I have no evidence. But again, this is an email from the public utility in Brookfield. So I don't necessarily know for a fact that those numbers are correct.
Okay.
But being alerted to that, I think
It's worth looking into.
When there's smoke, there's fire.
On the other side, the 175,000, any movement on that from them coming to us?
I'm very happy to report we have the check in hand. It's in the bank. We're going to be paving the Payne Road.
Excellent.
We're going to take the pain out of the people's...
A lot of people. That'll make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
Yep, that's good.
Hollyville Road and Payne Road are the first two on that list. And don't confuse Hollyville with Old Hollyville. And our paving program will say, stop raining. Last month we had 9 inches of rain, like a little downtown Bethel, without any floods. Anybody report flooding to you?
If Hudson Street doesn't flood, you know that there was no flooding. Yeah. No, there was no flooding on it.
Somebody must have done something right. Keep it a secret.
Yeah, if Tommy Ryan's corner was all right.
Yeah,
then you know.
Never came over the road there.
No.
It was out. One night about 3 o'clock I went out over there too. But it was wet, but it didn't.
No.
It never came down.
We even cleaned the catch basins.
Torrential downpour.
Yeah.
There's just a steady
Yeah.
rain, which Bethel can always handle. It seems, well, generally always handle.
Andrew, can you explain the letter from David Day? He's looking for $944,000 for fiscal year 08-09,
Right, that's a bill.
That is correct.
and we did not pay last year with 07-08?
0708, we paid $667,000.
And they wanted 700.
Oh, they want a minimum now of 667, the same
Which
as last
matches
year.
what we paid last year.
And then you'll discuss the difference between last year and this year.
Right, because there's 2 fiscal years, because they said that their actual costs exceeded the 667 by 80,000 or something along those lines, and then they're anticipating the costs to be another 180,000 on top of that, so that's why they were showing us being owing 944,000. But we want them to look at those 2 years with respect to how much they're charging us for the nitrogen removal project, and they're showing us how their grant money applies to that and how their loan applies to that. And, that's stuff that they hadn't gotten into. They just passed the cost along as they were coming in on that nitrogen removal project. But we shouldn't have to pay back any faster than they did.
See, if they're bonded at 2.5%, I'm not going to pay 4.5%.
And if they're getting grant money, we should get some out of
We're entitled.
bill too.
Okay.
We're waiting for their response to our request for more information on how that's broken down.
Been a little like the Wimbledon game so far. Good thing there's a net there.
And just if I can jump ahead a little, well, I'll wait till the intermunicipal comes up.
But anybody have any questions on your water and sewer statements at this point?
Okay. No questions this month.
And Barry is preparing, as you know, his mother recently passed away. He wanted to have an update on the Stony Hill project, but he said he wouldn't have it ready for today. But he was working on that as well. So
Yeah, he had a tough time last week. Move past water and sewer financials and get into the Danbury intermunicipal sewer invoice.
And that's, we started to talk about that, but I didn't want to bring up the fact that we had arranged with, in the intermunicipal agreement, where if we wanted to connect to Danbury system at the proposed Chelsea
Worcester
Heights
Street, Chelsea.
project, where Toll Brothers purchased that and they're now developing it, that the town would have to pay $205,000 to upgrade Danbury's facilities. Toll Brothers brought us a check today for $205,000. So I gave that to Barry, and he'll make the transfer over to Danbury. That'll move forward, which is good news for Bethel, because it gives us that interconnection that we wanted over there. Just in case there's an emergency, that's all it's there for. And it's to benefit both communities, really. Bethel will be able to, Danbury will be able to connect to Bethel's and pump into their system. We can draw by gravity from Danbury's system, if necessary, if it ever comes to that, if there's a major problem.
God forbid it should happen, but it's there. That's good. Engineering and utility consultant report. Obviously, Lenny's not here. Grants.
Well, we always talk about the water storage tank, and we had some bad news last week where Danbury Planning and Zoning, despite having only 4 commissioners present, decided to vote on our tank application, and they denied it at their meeting on June 30th.
Now, in your possession, you do have, and this was submitted to me and I believe to Danbury well after the hearings were open, so it doesn't have an impact, but it has an impact. You got a petition.
Yeah,
Everybody that's up there. Today,
And I talked to, before you go on, I talked to the planning zoning staff person in Danbury, and they said that the person, Mr. Ferreira, he tried to present this to planning and zoning at the counter there, and they refused to accept it because it had to do with a public hearing that had closed. So they put it, I believe they may have taken a copy of it and put it in an envelope and just put it in the file, but it was not supposed to have been considered as part of the application process. That storage.
and Mr. Ferreira walked down here, and we had a long talk about his ancestry and many of his relations that I had worked with for many years, and he presented me with it, and I said I would present it to my utility commission. So you have it in your possession. Today, I brought in an attorney specialist and discussed the whole matter with him. And there's a couple ways that we may handle this. He has some checking to do, but we will go forward. And it will be handled from this point forward by Pullman and Conley. So that's where we are with that, as to what our options are, what our rights are. This is needed for fire protection. It's needed for public health, just health and safety. So there are laws that supersede zoning when that comes into play. So this week, we'll get ruling back, and as we go forward, we'll put the appropriate parties on notice.
I've got a question for Andrew. The commission that voted, the planning and zoning that voted it down, how many members are on that?
5.
It's a 5-member commission, and only four were present. It was unanimous?
It was unanimous.
Okay, unanimous.
First meeting, it seemed it wasn't voted on, but it was seemed to be a split, 2 and 2.
All right. And
Something
is it based on the, we just went through those biologists going up there?
That's fine.
That's all. I mean, you checked out all the hazards to the environment. There's no environmental hazard.
Wetlands approved it.
Yeah, right. So all the red flags that would, if it were going to do harm. So this is an aesthetic question now.
Yes.
It's quality of life, aesthetic for the residents in the area.
Yes.
And even the aesthetic, when you really look at the way the project is being done, this tank is a total of 26 feet high, of which 12 feet's buried. So if you take 12 from 26, you got a 14-foot above.
Yeah.
It's very low profile.
It's low.
There's arborvitaes that are going to surround it. I mean, you're going to see it for the first couple of years, but an arborvitae will grow anywhere from 1 foot to 3 feet a year.
After all of the money that's been spent to okay that area, if the planning and zoning said you want to adhere to the wishes of the people on Long Ridge and Brushy Hill. I see some people that live on Brushy Hill here. Is it
Sure, they can
feasible?
go out of state and get signatures too.
Yeah, I mean it's not illegal. Yeah, but is there a way that it could be moved deeper into that Eureka property?
That's one of the options, and we're going to keep all the options on the table right now, and work with council to devise the best strategy. We want to get this tank started sooner than later. We've got the $600,000 grant. We've got the state working on. We're going to at least get a loan, a low-interest loan. We might qualify for stimulus funding, but we're not going to get stimulus funding if this project isn't shovel-ready, and it's not shovel-ready until we've got planning and zoning approval.
Everything's shovel-ready
except
except planning and zoning
our
approval.
options. And one of them is, absolutely, one of them is going back to Danbury and saying, look, can we move this tank this way? We only have so far, because we got the filter basins there, we've got the transmission main there. We can't, I don't want to start getting into moving the transmission main around, because it's right next to the filter basins anyway. We're only going to gain another 10 feet by doing that, but we could potentially move the tank closer to the transmission main. But it's more excavation, it's just more site work.
Well, then, do you have to go through another biological team coming up for $3,000 to tell us there's no...
I
You
don't
know what I'm saying? You
Could
just
be a
spent-
possibility.
It could be. And I know there are spotted salamanders deeper in there. You know, then they're going to say, oh,
Yeah, but
now
they're on
we
the
got
other
this.
side.
Well, by the causeway, there's a vernal pool there.
yeah,
that
that's
would
the other
that would
side.
then they would tell us, oh, wait a minute
It's a
now.
man-made pool. Vernal
Yeah.
pools are mud puddles.
Yeah, well, that
created
little...
by God.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'll just... We'll just have to let it play out. But...
So you got to
but
watch
very
out for that. That vernal pool every now and then gets a good shot of. Used to get shots of chlorine, possibly. Or what's the other thing that they put in there to kill lily pads?
Copper sulfate.
Yeah, you got to watch that getting over to when we try to the vernal pool. Oh, we're very careful.
After all, no, I know, but I mean, after all, you go
Our
through.
salamanders.
We jumped through a lot. There was a lot of hoops jumping through to get that state money.
The staff person for the planning and zoning had only written a motion of approval 2 weeks before this meeting.
Right.
They asked her at the last minute, why don't you write up a motion of denial for discussion purposes for the next meeting? And then when she called me that day and said, well, we only have 4 commissioners again, one stuck in Texas on business, we'll probably push it forward another 2 weeks. I didn't bother going to the meeting. And then they voted on it. They voted on the motion of denial that had been freshly drafted.
It was very
Caught me by surprise.
Well, what surprised me is the letter to the editor. I saw the letter to the editor about the tank.
And saying a 55-foot high tank.
But that man's a candidate for mayoral candidate.
Can you
And so I
imagine
said-
that a politician would lie?
I was so interested.
God,
that
what's
that would be
happening?
the topic that somebody that wanted to have the top job would seize. You know, of all the
14
things to
feet.
seize,
14,
that was
with
it.
the pitch of the roof, 14 feet.
So it surprised
Could
me.
you
when I
imagine
saw it.
people doing things like that?
Well, you pick your
Revolting.
issues. Yeah, maybe he needs the...
Adams and Jefferson used to argue. But I think they drank together, too. Just for a historic whatever, Jefferson died 2 hours before Adams on the same day. The 4th of July, 50 years after it was signed. And Adams's last words were, Jefferson lives. I was there. I was little, but I was there.
So, Andrew, now what? So we just wait until
Yeah, we're
you
going to hear
said
back from council on
You have to
No.
come to more of these meetings.
Lawyers.
These are fun.
so now the lawyers have to be contacted.
Well,
The lawyers have been contacted.
Pullman and Conley will lay out our options for us and, draft some letters that we can send out to either the Planning and Zoning Commission or the Department of Public Utility Control, whoever the appropriate agencies are. And we'll try to, move this forward, try to cooperate with, as much as possible we want to get this tank done at this site. If we have to move it a little bit, I'm okay with that, but, I'm sorry to say that I think we've lost the construction season for this year at this point, because we're not going to resolve this in the next 30 days, most likely.
Yeah, they put tanks in Alaska, but then they just have to use lights, that's all. So we'll see what happens.
We'll do our darndest to keep it moving.
Step forward. Don't have to be
Okay,
quick
thank
to
you.
this before.
Thank you.
So that's Stony Hill Sewer Project.
Ludlow is continuing their work. They took last week off. Everything's quiet. They are starting back up again.
I started today.
We got our approval from inland wetlands for the pipeline route from Adams Drive to Oak Ridge. So that's one important hurdle crossed. Now we need to get with Mr. Weinkoff and his wife and Mr. and Mrs. Riley, get them on board, show them that we've got the inland wetlands approval for that route, and try to get that easement secured in the next couple of weeks. I think they were a little concerned that we didn't have our approvals in place before they came to them, but now we've got our approvals. So, that being
Next
said,
week we'll be starting to look at coming across the end of Walnut Hill, crossing the Dibble Brook. That's our next move. So, we'll head up Weed Road. Moving quite well. I suspect we'll be into the pump house before...
Yeah, you'll see some activity at that site because we've got the approval for the, planning and zoning issued their approval for the pump station site on Walnut Hill Road.
and wetlands.
We went to that meeting and we had no problem with it. Some minor conditions that we have to meet, but we're all set. And then we'll begin work, Bill and I are going to begin work with the homeowner to draw up the documents that are necessary to carve out that piece of land that she promised the town for the pump station. That's what
Every town is going to have to completely be mandated to provide water to all its residents.
Jeez, this is crazy.
No.
Now, that could be their private well.
It doesn't mean
But
that
what
they
could
have
happen is give you an example. If we approve this today, and I will make the motion to establish these boundaries, we'll have 2 water companies in the town of Bethel.
Yeah.
What the state really wants to see eventually is 1 water company.
But, I see this as the state wants to say that you don't have, the government owns the water. You have your own well. It doesn't matter. It's either going to be an entity that we control owns that water, not the rain, the guy, whatever you... This is a complete takeover of, like, government owns the air, well, now we're going to own the water.
If you look at the Newtown is all shaded in with this hatching.
Yeah.
That's all United Water's territory.
Right.
So that's all.
These are people with little houses with wells and things.
But United Water only serves downtown Newtown.
What happens there? United Water will take any part, but basically because their service area, if you look at the second page, is basically the development of Chimney Heights between 84, down Hawleyville Road to Plum Trees. You got the orchard there and the Frank property there, so will something be built there? The orchard, supposedly not. But I wouldn't bet on it. State's broke. I suppose somebody wants to pay them for the development rights. The development rights are sold for $700,000. I don't know what the attrition rate and the escalation is on that now.
Yeah, we're talking about Blue Jay Orchard.
Blue Jay Orchard.
Yeah.
You get somebody with enough money comes in there, and they think that Bethel is a big enough bonanza, they'll buy those development rights back.
Really? They're sellable? After Josephi sold them to the state...
It very possibly could be.
They're going to give that money back to the state and unbuy...
Look at what's happened in the federal government in the last year.
Right, nothing
There's
can
only
surprise
one
you.
thing for sure. One thing and one thing only. Change. You don't like it? Sit still. In New England, it'll change.
All right. So, given the fact that now the state is pushing for
They're
this...
just pushing for the different water companies to take responsibility for the areas of all the towns. They don't want this Wild West approach where anyone can come in and start up a water company.
I'll give you an example.
That's what to me that makes sense. You don't want to have a mom and pop water company springing up in the middle of Codfish Hill or whatever.
Over here, right, you know where Shelley Road, it's never been abandoned, but the right-of-way still comes out on Old Hawleyville there? Well, if we determine today to let this be United Water's area, and the town of Bethel has all the rest of it. For example, if we had to supply water, they had water up to Plum Trees Road, and we had to supply water down into Shelley Road over there. Even though we own it, we could get United Water to run a line. Whoever wanted to develop it have to pay them to run the line. But we're not going to run a line from
the little
Hickok Avenue, up.
Where they would only have to run it from Walnut Hill Road down.
Now,
They've already got a system there.
if we gave them the whole town and just kept our amoeba down here, and they had a service on Grassy Pine Street that we had to supply water to, they would ask us to do. United Water has been United Water controls all the water in Newtown, all the public water in Newtown. A good portion of New Milford, Brookfield, and they just signed an interconnection to get into Danbury, I believe.
Well, yeah, they modified the current agreement that Bethel Consolidated had, which was a virtually unlimited amount of water they could take from Danbury. Now they have a set amount. I can't remember what that number is, but they have an established amount that they can buy from Danbury to supplement their system.
United
system.
Yeah, but with the...
You're looking at discussion, whose interest are we trying to protect? Or in the best interest of the 3,000 water users to take this into our
jurisdiction? The town of Bethel
jurisdiction?
protects itself by keeping most of our water area would be ours. This is all ours. And you're protecting Stony Hill because we interceded in the buyout by United Water, but we can't afford. You know where we are. We're putting in a tank that is going to...
But when you say we interceded,
we're an interceder in the purchase by United.
But we're interceding in a sense of to promote the sale or to
stay informed. Really, was the goal was for the commission to stay informed as to what was happening.
That's right.
At the state level.
But
And
we
to
didn't take a
protect the
position.
citizens of
Yeah,
Bethel.
but we didn't take a position against United
no.
Water taking that. We didn't get involved in any of that.
No, we were just involved in.
Interceder.
Yeah, and
Right.
that meant we were copied on all documentation and
That's right.
kept apprised of all procedures.
We had a right to know everything that was going on.
But, well, if United Water wanted, and you're saying to me, if United Water wanted this area here instead of the town of Bethel,
They could ask us for it.
They're not asking
They could
for it.
entertain this. They're not asking.
But
What they
The
want
meeting,
this-
we've had a meeting with United Water and sat down with their, whatever his name is,
Kevin Moran.
Moran. And he said, we'll do anything you want. But the state is mandating that we divide up.
like that, have a designated water company for that.
And they want to
Define.
interconnect the new town with their main on Route 6. They want to do that, but they need to have this in place before they can do that. And they figured while we're modifying this service area here, why don't we just say this is the extent of which we want to go to, and just get Bethel's buy-in.
And this does allow a transmission of water from Newtown to New Milford and to us.
Say that again.
This allows, when they get this interconnection, this will allow the transmission of water. Water is life, water is health, water is welfare, and water is safety. It allows all of Newtown water to be moved to New Milford, and all of New Milford's water to be moved to Newtown. So with all of that being said, and every Brookfield's in there, Bridgewater has no water, Danbury's involved there, and Bethel's involved there. Reading really has no public water. I basically am in favor of this setup,
Of the town keeping that
all of this, and allowing as defined in the map and the paperwork that will come to define it. I personally would vote for this.
Are there liabilities where we say that it's our area? Can the state come in and say I mean, is the state just thwarting free market approach to water? Is that? I mean, that's what it
Are
seems
they
like.
thwarting
They're
it?
thwarting it because you say they don't want mom and pop. They don't want. Maybe it's
The
just
state's
to
getting their
limit
mandate from
competition.
the federal government.
Well, yeah, they're not the bastions of free market capitalism. I mean, I don't know if this is just a way to prevent any future ability for any other people in the water market.
We got a water company that has customers. We can't buy them out.
No. Yeah.
You understand what has to, and what we need to do today, or carry forward into the next meeting, whatever you prefer to do, but we need to establish two different water areas here. We need to say, we'll take care of all of this, and you have this little bit here, and just for the sake of drawing a line, we drew the line down to Plum Trees. It's the Newtown line, Plum Trees Road, and where it comes up, and I mean, it eliminates, and eventually I think you'll see, because there is a water company in McCower Circle, what, they got 30 customers out there?
Yeah.
If that,
On Payne Road.
and that's going to be consumed by United Water, because they can't. You can't afford to do it anymore. You can't afford to treat it and make it happen.
But this is just going on in the parts of the states with water districts, like this, similar, like
Look at
the transit district.
Every part of the state has a water utility coordinating council. All towns, we're in the Housatonic Valley one.
Yeah.
And they want to establish this so that United Water can go forward and make their interconnection with Newtown, and then continue their water up north.
It's fun though, isn't it?
We don't have to say that Bethel Municipal is going to cover the rest of Bethel tonight. We don't have to do that. United Water would like us to get back to them with our okay on their claim
portion,
northern part. And I don't see any problems with it.
Now that we've kicked this all over the place.
No, I don't see. There's going to be too exclusive. To me, this is a governmental approach to a limited natural resource, and it's going to decide who the players are. That's all. I can just see the way everything in this country is being taken over by government agencies, and maybe down the road there will be a water company that's better than United Water. I can't see down into the
Billy, be practical. How are you going to start a water company in Chimney Heights?
Yeah.
It's a public utility.
Yeah,
you just can't go up and rip up the roads and put in another water company. It can't be done.
And you can't do it. You don't have a system there because you've had half-acre zoning, and you got an aquifer up there that's basically been polluted with coliform. You got some wells up there, but the wells are on larger pieces. So you got a public safety thing. Now, if United Water is eliminated, Bethel's got to do something. We have a water company. Bethel's got to do something. Bethel could sell its water company to United Water Company, the way Newtown did.
Right. We could sell.
All right. But then you lose control of your destiny.
Right.
Now, does our water company, want to be in charge of our destiny, or do we want United Water in charge of our destiny? So the only way I can see to do what you want to do, and I kind of agree with you, is to develop the two water service areas, which that's it. There's nothing left water-wise in the town of Bethel.
I'm given the problems we have with our finite water system, with this every week that we look at, and now we're going to look at taking responsibility for this whole area. I think we've so got our hands full with what we have.
But you and I and Mr. Gribben and Mr. Zatkowski and Mr. Kling, over the last year and a half, and before that Mr. Wild and Mr. Valenti, have worked our way through this to give Bethel a better system, a better opportunity, and we have to look at all the people in Bethel. And even though Stony Hill is not part of our system, we still, as a Public Utility Commission, have to keep them concerned.
Yeah. See, I think if we were, this is a little academic, but I think if we were really concerned about this whole town of Bethel, we would have done it without the state giving us a mandate through Andrew. Now you're going to decide who's going to take care of the potential water needs of. I don't know the percentage of the citizens outside of that.
Let's go back 100 years. 100 years what we were doing in this town is determining that we already had polluted the downtown and people were dying from diphtheria and typhoid and tetanus because there was no good drinking water. So we developed a source of good drinking water. And it's more than 100 years. It's actually about 77, 78 when we actually developed our water department? Somewhere in the mid-70s. So we had foresight. We were ahead of everybody else. This little town gets accused of being a little bit right. Lord knows we argue amongst ourselves.
This is good. Good. Thank God we argue.
Well, I'm all for it.
Yeah, we're
part of the revolution.
That's right, we are.
There's a fellow up on Main Street fought the French and Indian War. Came back without hair.
This is why I'm uncomfortable as an individual voting yes and no on this motion. Because the only thing that I know that I've lived through is the sewer, the $76 million sewer. And I listened to Dr. Fan, tarred and feathered, and he had a lot of things that he was right about, and the costs, and now we don't even have, after the whole thing which was mandated and governed by state statute, federal law, lawyers from everybody making money, we can't even give these guys a permit to make a little, and Ernie Nelson's house.
But we're going to be able.
Yeah, but I'm saying, and now we're in a situation where people like me have to say, Jesus, maybe we do need to sell our allocations for a lot. What I'm saying is the unintended consequences
I got a few extra
are so big that's why I have to think about this before I vote on your motion. I just have to chew on this a little bit.
All right, let me do
We'll
that.
discuss the town next meeting.
At this point, I will withdraw my motion to have the United Water as described by that map and Bethel as described it by that map. And we'll just...
You have to withdraw a second? Or?
You have to withdraw your second.
And I will, but I want to ask a question. Can we get, I don't think this is, time is of the essence, I don't think this
No,
is...
it's not.
But can we get a better map of north of 84 here? Or north of, this is 84, but their service area is going to go north of 84.
They're claiming
Goes all the way into Brookfield. Brookfield, Danbury.
Well, then we need a better map than this.
We'll get that. Okay. At this point, motion is withdrawn.
And can I make a substitute motion?
Yep.
I make a motion that we table this entire matter until the next meeting. Do we have better maps? Okay, what's your objection, Andrew?
My only objection is that they believe that there's another Water Utility Coordinating Committee meeting coming up in July. That I think they're expecting to vote on this with feedback from Bethel in play. At the last meeting, I went to the last Water Utility Coordinating Committee
let's
meeting.
do this. Let's table. You call up Mr. Moran, get a time frame and a better map, and I will call a special meeting.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. I've got one question. Would there be an argument why we should not give that area to United, the piece that United wants? I mean, if it were, you know what I'm saying? If it were in our interest to keep all this, well, would there be an argument that would say Bethel should also squash United?
The only argument you can make is there a goose laying a golden egg somewhere here that we don't know about? I don't think that there is. I don't think you're going to see a major development going up in this area.
It's developed. It's blown out.
Yeah, we're talking this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's blown out. You're saying it's blown out.
Because...
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, even, I mean, you got Capillaro's Grove.
Yeah.
That's the land that's left out there in the industrial park. And Steiner's not going to take the industrial park and turn it into residential.
They're already providing water to Big Y, so that's a big user there.
Route 6.
All right.
So they got the next lot over, Hollandia, which may be redeveloped, the lot across the street, and that's pretty much it. And then whatever redevelopment takes place on Route 6, that was already within their service area.
And if you look at Bethel's rates, the way Bethel's rates are now, we have no capital. The Bethel Public Utility has no money. We have things that we could sell, but we don't want to sell that.
Right.
I don't want my water I want it being provided by the Bethel Public Utility. That's where I want my water as a resident down here in Bethel. Where do you want your water?
Well, no, see, I don't know when the whole water plant...
You realize you're Ed Norton for this country?
Yeah, I'm Ed Norton. This is Ed Norton. I always thought it was the more people that we got on, it was going to be better because the cost per person would shrink.
Especially with the sewer.
I so believe that. But I've never seen any shrinking. I mean, every new mandate.
All attrition.
It's just going...
Mr. Chairman, can we vote, please?
Okay, let's vote.
Your motion again?
Table this until you provide the commission with better mapping, and we'll have a special meeting, if necessary, a special meeting.
Okay, Mr. Gribbon has made a motion to table this to another meeting. I second that motion. That motion being made and seconded, do we have any more discussion?
No
Hearing
discussion.
none, I'll move the question. All those in favor of moving it to another agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I took care of that. This has been a brilliant discussion. This is the purpose. Democracy serves it the best.